Today, I am slow stitching some shapes. Some assembly required. In case you are not familiar with slow stitching from my other slow stitching videos or the internet, it's a kind of relaxed applique embroidery type technique that encourages mindfulness. I like the handmade, imperfect aspect to it. It kind of reminds you that there's a person making this piece. It's not so perfect. It's definitely not done by a machine. I kind of like that. My sister recently bought a cool art print, but it's looking kind of lonely sitting on the wall by itself. It's not huge. It's just sort of like a smallish 8.5 by 11, 8 by 10 kind of thing. So I'm going to put my slow stitching skills to the test to make an accompanying piece of artwork. I'm actually going to make two, just in case one of them is better than the other. I'm going to make abstract, geometric kind of art to sort of echo the shapes in the piece, but not overpower it. So let's see how I do. As usual, I'm starting out in my sketchbook, and I think I've found some design possibilities. I still have some of this nice gray woven material for the background, and I'm going to use these patterned fabrics for the design. I also have these colors if it needs a little something extra. I will grab my scissors and my fading fabric pen, and I guess I can get started. I'll just trace these guys and make some different sized round templates and some various rectangles. And then I'll cut them out. I outlined the paper pieces with Sharpie so that I could see them better. Now I can play with the paper to see what configurations I like best. But there are so many options. Alright, I definitely like this arrangement, so I'll trace the pieces onto fabric and cut them out. I'm going to pick colors for each shape just based on what I think will look nice together and not overthink it. You could also do little color studies in your sketchbook if you weren't quite sure which color should go where. Here are all the colors that I picked for each little shape. They seem fine, so now I'll pin them down onto the background. I'm going to start with the one on the right. I'm planning to use more bold, contrasting colors on this one. I like to split my embroidery floss in half and just use 3 strands for my stitching. That way the stitches aren't too thick or too thin, but you can try different embroidery floss, different strings, different thicknesses and stuff, and see what works best for you. You might even like to change it depending on what kind of fabric you're working on. I like to stick with the one that I know I like. There! Now I've threaded my needle and made sure I tied a knot. I'll clear this guy out of the way and start on the stripy fabric. I like to make my stitches longer than the space between them. I think that's one of the rules for sashiko embroidery, which I really like the look of. Of course, they are not all exactly the same, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to make the stitches on this fabric run parallel to the stripes. That will help me keep them nice and straight. Every so often I like making a little knot on the back of the fabric to keep the stitches from pulling too tight and puckering the fabric. Now for the stitching part, you can do a few stitches at a time if you want to, or do them one by one. It totally depends on what you prefer, and also how many layers of fabric you're trying to squeeze through. Here's a closer look at making sort of a group of stitches all at once. My needle is a little bit thick for multiple stitches, so I tend to stick to one at a time. Maybe I should find a different needle. let's skip ahead and see what that first shape looks like, all stitched. Pretty cool. See, some of the rows are closer together, some are a little farther apart. I think it makes it look a little bit more interesting. Also on this particular fabric, I think it made sense to follow the stripes. Now, I'm going to try something different with the middle circle. I usually slow stitch in straight lines, but let's see what stitched circles would look like. Hopefully I like it because I am using a nice, bold, contrasting blue. Not gonna blend in on this one. Ooh, it's actually looking pretty cool. Let's see how it looks with all the other parts all stitched. Cool. The stitches are kind of fun going in different directions. So here's the other one. Let's see if I can make it look different. I think for this one, I'll try to use colors that will blend into the fabric a little bit more. This time my stitches here will be perpendicular to the stripes, and let's see if that changes anything. Let's get going. Here is a handy method that I like to use to keep my stitches straight. So I make sure my needle is lined up with the stitches I've done already in the row. That way they keep going straight. Also, I try to make sure my needle is parallel to the stitches I already made in the next row over. Of course, they are definitely not perfect, but at least they're mostly lined up. Ta-da! All finished. So this is what it looks like with straight stitches in matchy colors. And this one is a combination of straight and curved stitches in more contrasting colors. I think they're both pretty cool. I'm not sure which one is my favorite. I like them both. Luckily, I don't have to pick a favorite because they're not going in my house. Although maybe I should pick a favorite and offer the other one. As soon as one or both of them end up on the walls, I will post a picture of it all hanging together on my Instagram, which is right here. So check it out, and hopefully that will pop up one of these days. Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. I really don't know. I will say that I kind of enjoy this one with the contrast that you are not getting in this light, but I don't know. I could really go either way on them. I think that they're cool and different. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of video and you're not subscribed, you can do that right underneath the video and make sure you click all notifications so you don't miss anything. New videos come out on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so stay tuned for the next one. Until then, be awesome, and I'll see you on the next video.